Hello everyone, I'm Janelle and today I'll give you a tutorial on Prelude No. 5 in D major in Well-Tempered Clavier Book 1 by J.S. Bach. This tutorial aims to give you a better idea of the piece with some background information focused on technical and harmonic analysis with some practice tips. There are two books I refer to in this tutorial. They are the commentary by Sir Donald Francis Tovey at the back of the ABRSM edition of Well-Tempered Clavier, and also a book called J.S. Bach Well-Tempered Clavier In-Depth Analysis and Interpretation by Singlet Burent. First, I'll bring you the background of Well-Tempered Clavier. It is a collection of educational pieces with highly artistic contents. It wasn't published until 51 years after Bach's death by the efforts of his son and pupils. Well-tempered here means a well-tuned keyboard instruments. The pieces here are written in all 24 keys and they all sound in tune, which is called circular temperament. Underneath the virtuoso surface structure of this prelude is actually largely determined by the harmonic process. In the ABRSM edition I'm using, it actually has a suggested tempo of allegro leggero, which means lightly. To play this prelude at a rapid pace, we need exceptional technique and great stretch of the hands. There are some awkward chords, such as by the end of bar 7. There is a suggestion on the choice of the tempo in the book I just mentioned before. The bass line is composed as hitting two-part structure, which might indicate an alla breve pause. So, and in the treble parts, the pitch pattern is actually ornamentation of broken chords. Therefore, the appropriate tempo suggested is fast enough to give the impression of both a half-measure pulse and an arabesque-like right-hand pattern. In this demonstration, I will be playing examples at a slower tempo than what has been suggested to make explanations a bit clearer. However, there are many recordings online and different interpretations you can refer to have an idea how this faster tempo is like. A few of my favorites are the interpretation by Glenn Dude and the one by Andrew Schiff. Starting to practice this piece, at the very beginning, I'll suggest separating left hand and right hand to practice on their own. On our right hand, we can think about a ballerina, a soft material, a string, something delicate but precise. On my left hand, I'll think about pizzicato using light touch. As there are rests in the bass part, we can see some quaver rest here. Instead of indicating the actual duration, they are more of indicating the touch and coloring of the notes. Of course, we are going to play it a bit more legato when the bass note is held from bar 27 onwards, where this happened. Also from bar 32. Writing down fingerings is very important. Try out a few different ones and see what suits you most. As in my edition, and I believe in many other editions, we don't really have any fingerings, so it's very important to figure out your own at the very start of learning a new piece. Therefore, we can gradually build up speed instead of just stumbling over and over again. For myself, I have most of my fingerings written down from bar 4 to bar 12 because that's where the most of the accidentals are, and there is also a key change at the very beginning at around bar 4 to the dominant, which is A major. So to play this rather tricky section, I'm going to start at around bar 30 so you can have an idea of my take. So here I use 1, 5, 4, 3, and then 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4. I understand how some people wouldn't prefer using your thumb on a sharp, but here we don't really have a choice. For here, let's look at bar 7. So after the third beat of bar 7, we have to use C sharp, we have to use our thumb, because it's followed by a D. It's more than an octave lead. And my hand's not really that big, so of course you can choose the fingerings that's best for you. So this is why it's very important to try out slowly, and every bar you just keep practicing and keep trying until you find one that you think is the best for you. I recommend using a metronome for this piece. It is quite steady, it's got a very steady sense of rhythm, but be very careful as each phrase begins on the second beat, the second 16th note in the right hand pattern. So don't stress on the first one. From the very beginning, we can see a semi-quick rest and then followed by Another interesting fact is there is actually no portion of the prelude is repeated literally. However, there is a striking 5-measure analogy, which is at the very beginning from bar 1 to 6 and bar 20 to 25. So I just play bar 1 to 6, and now I'm going to demonstrate bar 20 to 25 so you can hear. An explanation for this. So the modulation from tonic to dominant takes place at rather the beginning of the prelude is what I've mentioned, to A major. So when it's launched from the subdominant, returning to the home key, it is very typical for Baroque recapitulation. From bar 30 onwards, we can see the style become more declamentary. The rhythm is burdened with some well-spread arpeggio. Let's say the one in bar 33 and the one in bar 34. They are actually also the only ornaments appearing in this prelude. The demi-semiquavers in bar 33 is recommended to run brilliantly. On the arpeggio, on the bass note of bar 33, there has been questions on whether the bass note should be an A or a B. A has appeared in 30 autographs, and B were in copies of most of the pupils and in most of the printed editions. The sound of the chord in itself is fine with A as the bass, but with B it makes the following chords an orderly progression of 5 steps from bar 30 to the middle of bar 34. So which can give emphasis to the penultimate dominant. However, in my edition, there is a use of A. Therefore, this is the kind of decision you have to make when playing this piece to make it your own interpretation. So I've talked about the two chords. Therefore, I'm going to demonstrate from bar 33 onwards so you can hear the demi-semiquavers and the two arpeggio chords. find this tutorial useful and informative. At the end of the day, it's very important to just practice and strive for what you think is the best interpretation. This piece is definitely not just being played on a forte piano, also on harpsichord, clavichord, and many other possibilities, so it's very important to find your own interpretation, and I hope your practice session goes well. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.